to go live and talk about this today. In case some of you saw the news, Facebook changed the name of their company to Meta today. And whether you like Facebook or not, I know that that's kind of a big, sort of controversial discussion. That's not what I'm talking about right now. What they're doing is part of a bigger conversation than just whether you like Facebook privacy or all of that. The metaverse itself is something that is coming, that is happening, that we can't avoid, that we can't stop, similar to how back in the 90s when the internet started and people thought, well, is this a fad? Is this a passing thing? The metaverse, I truly believe, is something that we are going to see more of. We're going to have to engage with. We're going to have to learn how to operate within and inside of. Now, for me personally, I love this. I've been dreaming of what the metaverse is for the last 4 years. Part of the reason why some people struggle to understand it, and I'm going to try to simplify that for you today on this video of what the metaverse is because it's related to video games in a huge way and using video game technology the same way that we use our cell phones today. I believe that in 10 to 15 years from now, every single person, you're not going to use a cell phone, you're not going to be using an Instagram or Facebook or a web browser. It's going to be a much more similar to using a video game. And that's how we're going to interact with the digital world. That's how we're going to interact with the video and the internet. Every single experience that we do is going to feel like it's in a video game experience, and it's going to feel very much like it's a part of the real world. You're going to be able to bring digital objects into the real world space and augment reality into the digital space. And so a big part of understanding that is as technology is growing, computers are getting faster, processors are getting faster, technology is getting better. We take what video games are now, and if you amplify that technology even better, it becomes a lot more lifelike, kind of like movies, and it becomes these experiences that can actually connect us more than we do over like a traditional Zoom call. See, it's not as scary as it sounds. I want you to think about Zoom calls. When you first used Zoom, the idea that you could log in and watch somebody on video over Zoom, what was that like? Well, now extrapolate that out bigger than just a video screen like this. Imagine that you're in a virtual world where you're able to connect with people, you're able to connect with your friends, and they're able to join you for different experiences, such as concerts, such as virtual travel, museums, experiences. Yes, I get it. The real stuff is a lot better. I totally get that. I'm not denying that. Have you ever watched the movie Ready Player One? It's a movie that's out there that shows basically a glimpse as to exactly the vision of the metaverse with a little bit of a dystopian twist to it where the world is kind of in chaos and there's not a whole lot of good outside of the metaverse. I'm hoping that we don't experience that with a total dystopian world outside of us. I think that there's a lot of real world problems that we're experiencing and that we're having to deal with. But as business owners, and especially if you follow me, I could not allow anybody to not understand what these concepts are because you're going to have to learn how to operate within them. If you're using Facebook right now, if you're using Instagram right now, and you're using these platforms on a regular basis, they're going to change and transform into these digital experiences. And much like how when you pull your phone out of your pocket and you click on an app, and then you swipe up and you go to an email, the metaverse is it's more going to be a fluid experience to where you're able to pull and grab stuff in a digital space, in a digital reality. Now, I know some people experience, in fact, I'm one of those people where if I put on virtual reality for too long, I get kind of queasy. A big part of the metaverse working is they're working through technology that can actually help people depending on how their brain works, how their eyes work, so that it's not going to give you headaches, so that it's not going to be difficult like that. And so one of the biggest things that we need to be able to realize is this is coming. It's really not totally available right now, but Facebook changed the name of their company to Meta to start to create in this world. And if you're a business owner right now and you want to stay ahead of the curve of where things are going, this is similar back to the 90s where everybody needed a website. Everybody is going to need to understand how to get into the metaverse and get their products into there and learn how to do that. A big place that I love, that I'm passionate about, that the metaverse is going to have an impact is education. Because we're going to be able to have educational experiences that are a lot less of just reading books and a lot less just watching videos and more doing and hands-on experiences to where I might be able to invite you into a Facebook ads lab or a marketing lab where I can walk you through in a digital space exactly how to do things. Oh, and by the way, you're watching a recording of me that I programmed. That's the vision that I see in 5 to 10 years from now for digital courses, is that it's more like an experience where there's a virtual version of me that's walking you through that type of stuff, just as a course creator, as an educator. There's other stuff such as the beauty industry, the fashion industry, the music industry is a big one that's going to be transformed by this. Musical experiences, being able to go into virtual conferences and virtual parties and ways to connect with people like we've never experienced before. Ways that we bring in the real world and the digital world together and start to create what we've never even imagined. You know, there was an interview with Melinda Gates. She's was Bill Gates' wife, and she said that the internet in 30 years from now, you're not going to be able to recognize it to what it is today. And I truly believe that. Literally, if you think back 30 years ago, just think back 30 years ago, 1990, 1991. Does our world look like it did then when it comes to the internet? Some people see that as a negative. I get that. And we need to return back to maybe some of the connection that we had pre-internet. But the innovation's not slowing down. It's not stopping. And this is part of that next phase of that. The metaverse is part of the next phase of evolution over the next 30 years, that we're going to see things more reality. A lot of video game experiences that were previously just for entertainment are going to be for work. A lot of people are going to do work in the metaverse that then applies in the real world. I truly believe this. I truly believe that we're going to see virtual offices like this, where people are working in their home, but they're in their digital office space together, and there's more proximity collaboration even though we're not in the same offices. Now, does this work for all industries? No, of course not. As we deal with stuff with robotics, you can see stuff with surgeries and things like that that can go on, where maybe you couldn't send a person in to do a surgery in a certain part of the world, and you could have somebody with robotics that are going in and doing that type of surgery virtually through the metaverse. That type of stuff is how that's going to happen, and we're going to see benefits to it. Yes, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be negatives, there's going to be some real bad stuff that we're going to have to be aware of, just like the internet. There's fraud on the internet, there's pornography, there's all kinds of stuff like that. We know that. With all the good stuff comes the bad stuff, but it doesn't mean that we need to avoid it. We need to learn about it, and we need to realize this is where things are headed. This is where technology is headed. And so I think it's really incredible what Facebook is doing. Am I a huge fan of Facebook? Do I fully trust them? No, not really, like pretty much most Americans. But they're the ones saying, hey, listen, we're going to start building this, and we're not going to be the only ones to do it. And you're going to start to see every single company is going to start to pop up and start building stuff. We're already seeing many publicly traded companies start to build stuff with NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and cryptocurrencies. Those are just two parts that are going to go right into the metaverse. Those are two parts that are going to translate right into those worlds. And so are you ready for that? Are you aware of a virtual future? I just want to encourage you over the next couple of years. This is all that I want you to do. This is my call to action here. Don't become blinded to what's going on just because you might not understand it. The world is changing. Did you miss the 90s and the internet coming up? Don't miss this, because this is it's an opportunity for everybody to get involved. New businesses are going to pop up that never existed before, and maybe you're the one that starts them. That's what I think I'm most passionate about seeing and helping people with. And so it's real. The internet's changing, and we're going to watch as it changes in front of us, for good, for bad, the happy, the sad, all that. So I'm probably a lot more passionate about this than most people, but it's because I can see like how this is going to affect the whole world. So have a good one, everybody. Listen, if you have questions about this, you just want to talk about it, you can DM me, leave comments.